Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Welcome to today's reading vlog. I am genuinely so excited for today's video. This video I've been looking forward to filming for such a long time. It has been on my list of video ideas to do since I started my channel, and that is reading my favorite girlies' favorite books. And we're starting off with Sara Carrolli, probably the first book girly that I ever started watching YouTube content for. I absolutely adore her. She is just like a ray of sunshine. Everything she puts out is perfection. I really love her books and kind of the genres that she pulls from, and she's actually the reason why I've started getting into more lit fic right now, because I've been influenced by her and I found some really great reads because of it, and I thought we could make a video about it. So I thought, now that I'm back home and I have my full bookshelf in front of me, I have some books on my bookshelf that I know Sara has read and rated super highly, and there are also ones that I am very excited to read. So let's pick one of them and then I'll read it, and that's how today's video is going to go. And I actually have already picked my first book for this video, and it is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was a 2025 release. I haven't read anything by Taylor Jenkins Reid before. None of her books prior to this one have really sparked my interest in any way. It's not that I was like avoiding reading their books. Like I said, they weren't really speaking to me. And then I saw Sara read this one and it just hit her so deeply. I remember watching that video and being like, I'm clearly missing out on something. I hate FOMO, to be honest. I can't stand FOMO, and I know it's a year later, but still, I knew I wanted to get to it, and so I finally picked it up, and I'm just so unbelievably excited to read it and get into it, especially with everything that's happened. When is that? It was a couple months ago with the astronauts and everything, and kind of the world coming together to watch and cheer on the astronauts while they go to space, especially if I don't want to say the first female astronaut, but having such an educated female astronaut in space as a woman was just so inspirational, and it was just incredible. And that has really made me want to put this on the top of my physical TBR right now. And today is finally the day that we are going to get started reading this. I don't know too much about it. I know that it has to do with space in some regard, but if you're new here, I like to go in blind to my books, so I'm going to start this, and then I will come back in a little bit and I will give you my first impressions and a little bit of what this book is about. Hi everyone, it has been, I believe, a day since I last talked to you. Don't mind the tissue in the background. My cat, Daisy, loves tissue, and if I, for some reason, have any, I like to leave it for her to sit on. So, getting that out of the way, I am back with my first initial thoughts on Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And when I tell you that upon initially reading the author's note, which, to be honest, I usually skip over those, not necessarily any like malice behind that or lack of interest. I just usually am so excited to get into the actual story that I skip over the author's note, but something about this author's note just kind of made me want to read it, and thank God I did, because this author's note set the tone of the book so well, and what Taylor really wanted you to kind of feel when reading her book. And that tone that she writes about and establishes in the author's note immediately translates directly into the book that you're reading. So in this book, you're following Joan Goodwin. She is one of the first women ever to get accepted into NASA. This is happening in the 1980s, where NASA has finally allowed women the opportunity to apply to NASA to become astronauts. And Jane, who studied some sort of space thing, I'm sorry, I can't remember, she applies. At first, she fails to get accepted, and then time goes on, and then she applies again and she gets accepted. And from what I can gather, you're kind of following two timelines in this book, one present timeline and one previous timeline. The previous timeline being when she gets accepted into NASA and she starts going through the training to become the astronaut, and then the present timeline where something's happening and it's all kind of happening in the moment and you see her training kind of pay off. I don't really want to spoil anything for you because I went into this with absolutely no idea what this book was about, and I so far recommend doing that because it is truly just learning as you go what's happening. You don't know what's happening, and I think that's really the best way to read this book. I love the writing of this book. This book is my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I am really thoroughly enjoying it. There's a level of kind of like heaviness that is sitting on me when I read this, but it's good heaviness. I need to emphasize that it is good heaviness. It is not like sad in a way that is deterring me from picking up the book, and it's not necessarily a sad feeling. You can feel that there is just so much on Joan's shoulders as one of the first women to ever be accepted into NASA, that there's a level of pressure that comes with that. And kind of watching Joan deal with that and just maneuver that, as well as some like personal relationships with her sister and her niece in her life, is truly just so, I don't know how to describe it, but when I read it, I feel this level of seriousness that her actions and her like place that NASA is having on the world and for her and for society, and I'm really, really loving it. I really can't wait to keep reading it. I'm really excited to read some more of it, and I believe that is all I had to say up until this point. How far in am I? I'm almost 100 pages in, which is pretty good. And I'm hoping to read a little bit more of this today. I'm going over to my boyfriend's and I'm going to lay on the hammock. And it's been so nice outside, and I just know that that is going to be like just peak reading experience. So I will see you the next time I have something to say. Okay, so I'm back with an update on Atmosphere. I'm over the 50% mark now. I really binged this the other night. I find when I read this book that I am so immersed in the story, in the world, and I love the space element of this book. I really, truly love how much Joan loves what she's doing, and her love for space truly is like the thing that shines most about this book. Her passion and her just like adoration for everything space related is, I don't know even know how to describe it. I'm just in awe, and it's so beautiful to read someone do what they love. And it's so, it really puts into perspective too that she is very fortunate to be one of the first women to be able to pursue her passion and become part of NASA. Like prior to this, she was a teacher because that's kind of what she did. She was educated, but as a woman during this time, you really couldn't push the boundaries more than that. And Joan has pushed the boundaries so much, and there's been some really, really interesting conversations happening between Joan and other characters, and how women are, how they're in a very difficult position, because there's another character, her name is Lydia, and her and Joan are both women in the NASA training program, and they are kind of taking two different approaches to how the men see them. Joan wants absolutely nothing to do with the kind of misogynistic jokes and the off-putting comments that they say towards them, whereas Lydia kind of takes the other approach and just laughs it off. There was a really, really interesting conversation that they had about the two sides of it and how they have to portray themselves and kind of how they have to act in order to win the man's favor, because the only reason that they let them into NASA was because society and men in general have realized that women could do what men do. And there's just a line and kind of looking at what their behavior means for not only themselves, but how other people will see them and what that means. And that conversation, I think, will stick with me for the rest of my life. That was such just, I cannot talk about it enough. I read that scene and I have been talking to everybody about this book. I have just absolutely adored it. There was a scene that I was crying my eyes out. The found family in this book was not expected. You just spend so much time with the characters and they really kind of latch on to each other and they become a family. Like they're a unit, they're a group, and they work together and they're always with each other. And it's just so comforting to read. But then between the two timelines happening, there's just so much going on, and I was crying. It was just, I don't know. I'm just so sucked into the story. I'm so sucked into the characters, and I absolutely love it. I am truly enjoying my reading experience of this book so much. I don't have that much more. I've tabbed some quotes in this book. I think this is going to be a 5-star. Like, if it's any, I don't know what could truly happen to ruin this book for me. I am just so in love with absolutely everything that is happening. There's also something that's kind of happening that I didn't, I guess, anticipate. I didn't know where it was going to go, but I don't want to spoil that for you. I think I'm right though, but I'm just truly, truly adoring this book. And I really think that this is going to turn out to be a 5-star with how it's going and how I'm feeling and how in love with it I am. So I'm going to read more of this later today. I am just truly so happy I finally picked this up. This was right book, right time, absolutely phenomenal. And with all that being said, I'm going to go read this and I will come back to you with my final thoughts. Hi guys, I am back and I have officially finished Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book is a renounding 5-star, possibly a 6-star read for me. This book has made me cry. No, cry is not the right word. Has made me sob like no other book has in I don't even know how long. Like I was trying to think when was the last time that a book genuinely like broke my heart. And to be honest, I've cried at some books, I've shed some tears, but I have not sobbed like this book has made me sob in the longest of times. And it just reminded me how powerful like reading can be and how powerful words can be and the importance of being emotionally involved in a story. And this book just transported me into another world and set the bar so much higher for books that I love and what I look for in books as well. I don't know how well you can see, I tabbed this book somewhat. I could have gone crazier, but I realized pretty quickly that I wanted to kind of savor my tabs in this book. Like, I really wanted it to feel hard hitting and pick the quotes and the lines that really kind of like hit me in the chest and hit me not necessarily where it hurt, but just hit me in a place that stood out to everything else that I knew that I was going to want to go back to one day and read those lines and have the exact same feeling as I did when I first initially read it. Oh my god, there's just truly so much that I absolutely loved about this book. I've talked a little bit about how emotionally invested I was in the story. I loved Joan from the very beginning. I love how much Joan loves what she does. I love how true to herself Joan was throughout the whole book. Yes, Joan had some learning to do in terms of herself, but Joan's core values and her love for space did not waver. It did not change. It was just consistent throughout the whole book. And you could feel the love that she had through the pages. And it was just so incredible to witness and experience. And it like rubbed off on me in a way that I also felt like I loved it just as much as Joan. And I love space, I do, but not like Joan loves space. And it just really opened my mind. I don't know how to describe it. Also, the sociological elements that this book holds. I know sociology can be a big word to use, especially when talking about books, but the sociology of this book and the time period that they were in and the experiences of women during this time period was such a crucial element of the story and how it progressed. And I just really sunk my teeth into it. It was perfect for me. I absolutely loved it and I adored it. And also, we have to touch on the love story because it is a love story, but this love story was so painful yet beautiful at the exact same time. It hurt so bad, but I loved it so much. And I don't want to say too much about it because I really think that you should go in blind about it. It makes it so much more genuine and you're just so much more in it when you don't know. And oh my god, the ending of this book was truly cruel. I was not expecting it at all. It Oh my god, I don't know what I truly expected going into it. I, to some level, really hoped and thought that it would resonate with me, and it did. Sarah's 5-star read translated into another 5-star read for me, and I'm so glad that I picked this book up when I did. It was just absolutely impeccable. Everything about it, I wouldn't change a single thing. Oh, and that's another thing that I wanted to say. The plot line with Joan, her sister, and her niece Frances, I really enjoyed that plot line despite, I believe her sister's name is Barbara, despite Barbara's character being how she was. I think having significantly flawed characters is important and is sometimes nice to have a character that you're not rooting for. I think that Barbara and Joan are on a spectrum of how women during this time were starting to be perceived. There was Barbara, who was really set on kind of sticking with the status quo. And then there was Joan, who was breaking barriers as a female astronaut going to space. And I really think that it was just so well done in showing the struggles of both sides and the experiences of both sides. And I know Barbara wasn't necessarily a very likable character, but I don't think she was meant to be, for starters. And also, I think it was meant to show the position that women were put in and the expectations put upon them during that time and what they had to pick and choose for kind of their survival. And I just, that kind of leads into the sociological element as well. I just truly, 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 absolutely adored this book to no end. I will forever recommend this book. It is not underhyped. Arguably, I would say it's still not hyped enough. I see a lot of people talking about this book, but if you take something out of this video, please, 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 please read this book. Okay? Please. It is absolutely incredible and I love it so much. And it's really kind of given me another author that I can pull from. If all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books are like this, then I am excited to read more of her books. At this point in time, not very many books of hers have drawn my attention, but you never know. Something might happen. Someone might influence me. I might pick one up randomly one day and decide that now's the time to read it. And maybe it's going to give me the exact same feelings, and I really hope it does. With all that being said, that is the first book of today's video done. A 5-star read right off the bat. And now onto the second book, which there's a couple that I'm wanting to pick from, but I think I want to read The Correspondent. I'm not entirely sure what the author's name is, but I believe it's about, I don't actually know what it's about. As maybe you know, I go into books blind. And the only thing I really know about this book is Sarah rated it 5 stars. Obviously, it's a contender for this video. And also that it's comprised of letters. Like, I think the whole book is a collection of letters. And I haven't ever read a book like that before. And I've also, similarly to Atmosphere, people have sobbed to this book. They've absolutely adored it. They've said that it's given them emotional damage, and I kind of miss already after finishing Atmosphere the feeling of being so like attached to characters, and I really missed being emotionally destroyed. I don't really know what that says about me, but I really missed it, and this book is a contender for that. So with all that being said, we are going to jump back into the reading, and I will see you when I'm a little bit into the book. finished The Correspondent by Virginia Evans, and I wanted to ponder my rating on this a little longer, but to be honest, I don't really think that I need to. This book is a solid 5-star for me. It was such a refreshing read. I've never read anything like it. If you guys aren't familiar with the way that this book is written, it is a bunch of letters. It is a comprised volume of letters of correspondence from our main characters, Sybil Van Antwerp, and friends and family and strangers, and it was so beautiful and so emotional. Like, I didn't quite expect the level of emotional depth that this would have, given that it was written in letters. I didn't exactly know how that was going to go, but I was very, very pleasantly surprised with how well you got to know not only our female main character, but also other characters through the letters that they wrote and what they were choosing to correspond about. And you follow them through many, many years, and you learn a lot about the different dynamics between the characters, between mother and daughter, between sisters, between siblings. And Sybil is, I believe, in her mid-80s. She's not a young female main character, and I found that so unbelievably refreshing that you're following a character who's already lived so much, and she already has a really deep sense of self in who she is and what she loves and what she does and what she's been through, and about kind of how she is the way she is and why that is. And I really loved that. I adored that. I found it so, like I said, refreshing to follow somebody who's older, who was just reflecting on their entire life as a whole and their choices and their mistakes, but also things that they loved doing and the people that they loved, and also kind of courage of doing new things even when you're older. This book made me very emotional at times. Oh my gosh, just the depth of these characters and learning their past and where they came from and their choices, and sometimes what they had to do that they didn't choose to do, and just learning their history and the healing that came from the letters as well. Like, I truly did not like envision the amount of depth that these letters would be able to achieve for not only the characters but also the reader. And I just felt so immersed in the story, and for how short it is, it's 280 pages. That's not really long book. I was just blown away with how well this was executed, with how well it was done. I think it's a really good introduction to fiction, to be quite honest. I look back on this book so fondly. Like, there really wasn't anything that I didn't like, and it had me feeling all the emotions, which I love. And I don't know, I was just surprised that letters could pull that out of me. But if one thing you should take away from this video is that both of these books are different in their own way, but they are both perfect at the same time. This was just, oh my gosh, this felt like a warm hug. And I also loved Sybil. She was so like direct in who she was, and she just had her own quirk about her that I really loved, and I loved following her. There's a lot of different kind of plot points. As I said, you follow them throughout years, so obviously things happen throughout years, things are revealed. There's someone at one point who's sending her kind of more threatening letters at one point. There's also other plot points that I don't really want to reveal, but they just enhance the story so much more. And the importance of the letters to Sybil is just, they are who she is in a way. It's really deeply attached to who she is, and I just loved it so much. 5-star read. Honestly, Sara Carrolli knows what's up when it comes to 5-star reads. I think had I read these two books at a different time when I hadn't got into fiction a little bit more, I don't think I would have enjoyed them quite as much, but I'm glad that I picked them up now. I'm glad that these were right book, right time. I absolutely adored both of these books, and I really, really highly suggest you read both of them. They are both perfect masterpieces to me, and I will remember this year as the year that I really dove into fiction. I really gave it a chance, and I really, really found books that I love and I can recommend to other people. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, for spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. I'm going to put my Instagram up on the screen if you want to follow me there. But with all that being said, I have some really exciting videos that I'm going to be doing soon, and I hope you stick around. I hope you come back. I hope your next read is a 5-star. I hope you pick up these next 5 stars. And with all that being said, bye!